Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Village Neighborhood Association's October community meeting. As I mentioned in the lead up to this, we had a number of cancellations this evening, so apologies to all. You're sort of stuck with me. I'm going to give you a few updates, and then what I'd like to do in the open forum section at the end, which I'm going to guess is probably in 20 to 25 minutes from now, that we hear from you relative to any subjects you want us to talk about in the future, any guests you might want to hear from, anything that's on your mind. I've gotten a couple of very interesting detailed emails from people after the last couple of meetings asking about a number of issues that we tend to talk about on a regular basis. So I think that's great. It means we're kind of hitting the hot button issues, but I want to know, how can we get you the information, that you want, right? Okay. Oh, thanks, Joe. Joe's my IT professional who's telling me that he's already recording and I don't need to. Recently, the DCNA had put together a forum for the candidates in the upcoming election. This was held at Grace Van Voorst Church. The candidates for Ward E and Ward F squared off in a forum, which was intended to be a discussion on the issues. So if you were able to attend that or attend that on the Zoom, that was quite an interesting event. And there have been a number of, debates / forums around this upcoming election. So if you have any questions, let us know. Anything other than, who do I vote for? We can't tell you that, but we can help, guide you based on the issues that you're interested in. Okay, so let me go back to the beginning of my deck. And again, it's a short one, but let's do it. So here we go. Zoom. All right, can everybody see my screen? Yes, yes. Okay, great.
Yes.
All right, so again, good evening. I'm Eric Hoffman. I am the president of the Village Neighborhood Association for 2021. A number of our board members are here. We have a number of board members that are absent this evening for various familial and professional needs. So thank you all for joining. For those of you that have joined, we are, of course, in Halloween week, so we're going to enjoy some Halloween type graphics. Again, unfortunately, items 3 and 4 we don't have this evening. The guest speaker that we had this evening, she had to cancel earlier today, and again with the business spotlight, we're going to get them on here next month. So jumping right into a subject that I can't wait to stop talking about, but I do feel like, it's still obligatory. We want to encourage, obviously, everyone to get vaccinated. We want to encourage everyone to keep an eye on when you can get your children vaccinated. Vaccines are available for children ages 12 and older at the moment. And from what we're seeing in the news, perhaps for younger age children relatively soon. So that's kind of more exciting, in terms of being able to travel places with your family, right, and not being able to quarantine. Because for those of you that don't know, the quarantine rules used to be the contiguous states, right, and it included any of the 5 contiguous states, which are now down to 4. So technically travel outside of those 4 states require a 10-day quarantine. I know that, for example, our daughter's school is allowing a shortened quarantine, but it doesn't get any better than 7 days. In other words, if you take a COVID test after returning from travel 3 to 5 days after you return and said test is negative, you only need to quarantine 7 days and you can return on the 8th. Otherwise, it's a flat out 10-day quarantine. You can return on the 11th. And that seems to be something that, is continually changing, but the requirement to quarantine after out-of-state travel is something that, remains unfortunately consistent. Some places in the rest of the world are opening up. I know I saw a thing recently that Thailand is allowing unvaccinated travelers from the US and the UK, looking to boost their tourism revenue. So if you want to go somewhere, you're going to be welcome. You can go to Thailand. Again, we'll look at this dashboard. This is something that the Office of Health and Human Services has put together. It's got a number of fantastic data points. We talk about this one every month. Again, you can see we're still in sort of COVID's good graces, if you will. I imagine a lot of this has to do with the number of vaccinated people. People are still maintaining social distancing. Certainly in New York City, the HERO Act in New York City, which is relative to behavior in a pandemic, was set to expire on October 31st. That has been extended. So social distancing is still in place. This was going to affect a lot of, commercial spaces like corporate offices and things like that that we're looking to open sooner at full capacity. But it's not here yet, but it is certainly around the corner. If I just go back to that, I want to show you a little something fun. Well, I think it's fun anyway. The Jersey City has updated their website. It's actually I think it's sort of better than ever. They have revamped the homepage, if you will, right? It now looks like this. This is jcnj.gov, but there are, easy links here. Some of them which I wanted to just highlight for you, as I've done in the past. What they have done is they've broken up. This used to be a scrolling screen where you had to kind of click through everything. So, the like top 6 hot button things they want you to know about are all here. The vaccines, of course, we talked about, COVID-19 information. But if you go into resident resources, there are a number of resources here that, go as far as obviously everything from, transportation to arts and culture. But if you go over here to emergency resources, this is something that we've looked at in the past. And a lot of this has come about as a result of the last really bad hurricane, Tropical Storm Ida. And the press release is relative to Tropical Storm Ida and Jersey City, being designated as by FEMA as an emergency as an emergency zone, right? So it opens up things like for loans, it opens up things for storm damage, right? So here you can see it's been declared a FEMA major disaster area. So there were a lot of resources that are at your disposal still. If you have, lingering effects from Ida, there's a hotline involved here. It just, again, I want to just point out that they've done their best to kind of break this down into, bite-sized information. The website, I think, is more usable than it has ever been. And I encourage you to head to it to, try to understand not just, what programs the city is pushing, but also calendar events. When are the caucus meetings? When are the city council meetings? Zoning meetings and things like that. So, we always keep an eye on the ZBA, the zoning board, and their agenda and their meetings, because again, this is how things have popped up on us in the past unexpectedly. And if we keep abreast of what is on those agenda, we can, get out in front of it and request, as we've done several times in the past, them to table that because they haven't presented, to the village community as an example that we see far too often. Jersey City updates. So again, pretty brief. We just talked about emergency resources. As we showed last month, the Jersey City Public Library, they're really upping their game with respect to the programs that they're offering. So I'll just flip through some of the flyers that they've sent us. This first one is really about a job search. Like, this is how to get how to find a good job in the field of cybersecurity and how they can help you find the right educational pathway to said job. That's tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. This is wonderful. This is, as we mentioned last month, they are having a monthly series on what they're calling Garden State Jazz Greats. So for you jazz musician fans, or even just, musician in general. This is something really cool about an ongoing program where monthly they're going to highlight a different artists and delve into why their life was important. And so for November, it is Miss Joya Sherrill, who's a Bayonne native, and someone that, as you can sort of see here, she had her day in the sun with Duke Ellington Orchestra. This is really cool, and these are Zoom events. So again, this is tomorrow evening, 6:30 p.m. You can see the Zoom link here. You can register in advance for that. November 9, this is about alternatives to therapy and medication with struggling with mental health, yourself or a family member. This is an interesting program that, again, is talking about other ways to combat that. And then, for young adults, right? Like we talked about this last time, I just find this to be really cool. These are, open free prep for SATs, right? That started last night and goes every, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 4:30 p.m., kind of unlocking the code, if you will, of taking the SAT. Again, tomorrow afternoon is another program that they're sponsoring, which is a virtual kind of read and discussion of the book An Impossible Wife, which to the month's theme deals with mental health and relationships with someone who's struggling with mental health issues. And finally, there's a teen advisory board on November 3rd, which is kind of like how can you help and support your team. There's the new director of the library director, Terry Hill, is leading this. So again, if you have teen children and are looking for some assistance in that regard, that's one for you. And then this one is, more about, this one sort of makes me think of, the older generation and understanding, what phishing is like, and whaling and any of the other, sort of criminal attempts to unlock your personal information. This is a cyber threat Zoom here that they're hosting on November 4th. Any questions on that thus far? Fair enough. So again, business spotlight, we will see next month. We will see if we can't get our special guest speaker from Health and Human Services back next month. And I am going to stop sharing at this point just so I can see you all, or vice versa. Hey, Michelle, glad you could join us. Just to catch you up, we had a couple of cancellations this evening, so we have an extraordinarily light agenda. You are stuck with me, but for not too much longer. I have gone through the information that I wanted to share. But I do want to ask, for those of you that are on here, if you have thought about it and have anything that you want to see in the future, either a guest or a topic or something you want us to cover. Obviously, I know flooding was a hot button issue. We're expecting some more rain this evening. We did see, as Ryan pointed out, a good amount of flooding just north of Mary Benson Park at Newark Ave. And then we saw again here at Colgate and First Street, but it didn't pop up until later this afternoon. It has since subsided. I know that the city did keep street sweeping on today. They just didn't ticket. And the logic behind that was they wanted to get, the street sweepers out there to focus on catch basins, to avoid clogging of catch basins. And the notion was, if you can't move your car, we're not going to ticket you, but if you can, we could use the help. So that seems to be the thinking moving forward with these bigger storms. So I see a number of things in the chat. Okay, so James, you're talking about what I mentioned relative to the quarantine, right? So yeah, go ahead, bud.
Yeah. I just listened to the Board of Ed. I guess they call it the caucus, the meeting yesterday, and it's to be a little bit more forthright. I think a lot of parents are complaining about the policy, so there's a lot of pressure on it, and the board lawyer did state that it's it's a policy that the Department of Education, so not an executive order by like the governor, is encouraging. And so there's like room to like, flexibly change that. Not saying, at least as it pertains to schools, whether, you know, Jersey City Public Schools would actually change anything, but it sounds like there very much is like legal room at least to, you know, like change the exact rules in terms of length of time and
Yep.
testing the kids when they come back, and etc. And a lot of people want to be able to see family and do other things, so
Right.
like there's like a lot of pressure on that.
Yep. No, and I appreciate that comment. We've heard it too. I have to say, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I can speak freely with this group, but personally, it is what it is. It's a policy that everybody's aware of, and if you choose to travel out of state, you want to go on a vacation, you want to go see Mickey, let's say, you know what's coming, right? You know what you're getting yourself into. This is a voluntary thing. There is a clause in the current policy, at least relative to PS5, certainly where my kids go, that says if it's emergency travel, you have a sick family member or something like that, then you don't have to quarantine, right? You can submit a letter. I'm sorry, excuse me. I take that back. You do still have to quarantine, but there is a hybrid option, but it's only available to you if you have gone out of state on based on an emergency protocol, right? So you travel to see a sick family member, you come back, you have I don't know what the documentation is that they're requiring, but you quote unquote prove that that's what you were doing. Then you can take part in this hybrid. I know one of the bigger complaints was, why isn't there a hybrid option available? Why can't my kids be on Zoom while they quarantine? And I get that 100% because there isn't that option, right? They are simply, again, relative to Jersey City Public Schools, they are marked absent during the term of their quarantine. Okay.
Well,
Sorry.
Eric, it gets even worse because now there's conflicting things depending on what kind of quarantine. So if there's a cohort, depends on middle school and all that, young ages, but we had this happen. Some kid tested positive for COVID, so my kid had to stay home for like a week, and that was presumably they're gonna like spray and disinfect and all that. So I get that, but there were Zoom classes during that week. Now you had to take a PCR test, and they said get it Thursday or Friday, and your kid can come back to school with a negative PCR test on Monday, right? So I take my son to City MD, and we got the PCR test like Thursday morning, or basically when they opened. But they advised it was 5 days, could be the turnaround. So we're looking at no school for him Monday, Tuesday. Anyway, we missed one day, Monday. We got it Tuesday, and he could go back Tuesday. But on that Monday, he could not be in any Zoom, and it counted as an absentee or absent day, right? Just because we couldn't produce the PCR test result in time.
Right.
So if it's the whole school, nope, you're in Zoom. It's hybrid. If it's the one kid, even if it's like you told us to go Thursday, we went Thursday. So it's you're absent. No two ways about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just reiterate what I said last month. And again, this is relative to my own experience and my own experience only, having had COVID in my house for 21 days. My youngest daughter and I, we tested every 5 days because I wanted to know sooner rather than later. I was given a date by my office as to when I could test to return to work, and it was a couple of weeks out, right? And so I wanted to know if I had it so I could start that clock earlier. My experience with the mobile unit that is on Barrow, right by Barcade, that took every bit of 72 hours. And every test that we took at the public health building on Marin, we had a result within 24 hours. So if you're looking for a quick test, it's not perfect and it's not guaranteed, but that was consistently a much more, quote unquote, rapid result. Now, you can also pay a bunch of money and go to the place in the Heights. And by a bunch of money, I mean, if you want a 1 hour PCR result, it's $300. It's all out of network. There is no insurance possibilities. You are paying out of pocket. And I believe it's, I want to say it was 150 for a guaranteed 24-hour result. So depending on your pockets, you got some options out there, which I think sucks, because I feel like if somebody can do it, why can't they all do it? But I get it. It's probably a much more expensive lab that they're contracted with, and that's just the way it goes. Oh, are you talking to me? Oh, excuse me. I sent a message, Justin, in response to your comment and said, yes, unfortunately, there's a good bit of sewage in that. I would also say it's silt, which is like superfine dirt that just gets stirred up with floodwaters of that volume and ends up settling around the catch basins. The question that he had in the chat was, what is the brown sand that accumulates around the catch basins after a big flooding event? And it's a mixture of good and bad and ugly, I'll say. All right. Anything else? And please feel free to just email us if there are, issues or people that you want to see. I want to say thank you to Evelyn again for organizing our guest speaker tonight. It's unfortunate that she had to cancel, but life happens. We will make every effort to get her back for next month.
Eric, I had a quick topic, if you don't mind. Yeah. So, I think just just the old COVID work from home, and just noticing with schools restarted, that during pickup and drop off, there's a lot of idling in the neighborhood of the cars. And I think it's like not so hot right now. You probably don't need the AC. I think the idea is probably like, I don't want to get a ticket, but I don't see that they would, if they're sitting in the car. I wonder if there's just like something really small that we could do here, if other people feel the same, just like, just coordinating with the school to just maybe just ask people to not idle their cars during pickup and drop off. And unless like, okay, it's like really hot or really cold and you just need the AC or the heat. But maybe just a very, very small like quality of life improvement, a little less pollution for everyone here.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm happy to reach out to Principal Rivero just to make the suggestion that a notification goes out, asking parents to do it again. Enforcement's always the issue with these things, but I like it. I also think that awareness is probably a key issue there that many people may not even think about it, right? Like they're not so terribly concerned about emissions from their vehicle, but if reminded, they might say, oh yeah, I don't need to sit here with the engine running. That's a good point, James.
Cool. Yeah. Sounds like a good plan.
Hi everyone, this is Megan. Just want to
Hey Megan.
just give a heads up / warning. I live on 3rd between Brunswick and Colgate, and we had the second break into our building since December last night, and so we had someone pick our lock, and so the side door of our building. I live in a small condo building, and and stole someone's bicycle and their pump from our garage. So thankfully it wasn't anything more than that, but just kind of sketchy that someone picked our lock. So just heads up, I guess.
Wow.
We do have it on camera.
I was just gonna ask. Yep.
Yeah, we found the guy. he's wearing a mask, so he was courteous. And we'll, go do what we need to do.
Did you say he was courteous?
Apparently, yeah, I don't know.
Wow, a health conscious criminal. Love it.
Yeah. So Anyway, just wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's a good point. I feel like, there's a little bit of apathy that occurs. But as one of my old neighbors back when I lived in Saffron used to repeatedly say, Jersey City is a city of crime. So don't let up your guard. It's a little disturbing to hear that they would actually make the effort to get through a pick lock. The stuff that we were dealing with there was having a garage and cars that are just too eager to get out. The garage door opens and off they go. Well, it takes like 30 seconds for that door to go back down, and people would just sneak in as the door was closing. So this is a little bit more invasive than that. I'm sorry to hear that. I assume you filed a report and the whole thing.
Yeah, we just realized today, within the last few hours, what happened. So
Wow.
we'll work on it. And we
Okay.
thought it was one of those situations where someone snuck in under the garage door, but the recording showed us otherwise. So yeah, so it's the first time that something like that has happened. But we all thought they were pretty secure locks and doors. But
Do
I guess
you have motion lights on that door?
I don't think we do. No.
I would just say, that's probably a good step to take if you can get, your building to do something like that.
Yeah.
Trick is, we all live close to our neighbors, and lights like that can tend to be offensive to a neighbor if they come on when, say, a stray cat runs by, right? But as a security measure, if you had a motion light right above that door, that tends to deter, theft. Criminals don't like light.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Thanks. And we're also going to hang signs saying that we have that we're recording. I don't know, something like that.
Fair. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yes, honey. Sorry, I was talking to my daughter. All right, sorry about that. Okay, well, listen, thank you, everyone. And again, apologies for the short agenda tonight. We'll pack it for November, pre-Thanksgiving. Oh, actually, where does that put us? All right, we have to talk about this, because now that we're in the fourth Tuesday of every month, that's going to be what, 2 days before Thanksgiving? That's probably okay, right? People don't tend to leave town until like that Wednesday. I'm just thinking out loud here. All right, well, stay tuned. We will hold the date for now. I just need to look more closely at a calendar and talk with the board to see if anybody sees any issues. But in my mind, should be fine. All right, everybody stay safe out there. Be kind to your neighbors. Have a great evening.
Good night, guys.
Bye all.
Good night.
Bye.